Money is.
Frequency.
Detachment is.
Important.
Most people stay stuck because
They don't let go.
the truth about abundance is
You need to be before you have
we do have. People overcomplicate.
their goals.
Success without identity is
Non-existent. What's the most important life lesson you've ever learned?
trust yourself. Welcome to the Rise podcast. This one's going to be a little different because usually I allow my guests to have some time to ease into the process. Not today though. Because at some point in our life, it's not about tactics anymore. It's more about embodiment. It's more about embracing who you are. So today's guest actually specializes in just that. He helps people break out of limiting beliefs, embrace an abundance mindset. He's worked with some of the most successful people in the world, and I'm glad to have him here. Janardhan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to give people a bit more of an introduction about yourself?
For sure. So I'm 24 years old. Now, I've always imagined myself, and I've always been told that I'm a lot wiser than most people my age. I think even you said this before the podcast. So I work with entrepreneurs. I'm a hypnotist. And yeah, I've worked with some, like you said, amazing entrepreneurs, helped them with a lot of limiting beliefs. And yeah, now I'm just here to really speak my truth and share what I think is going to help a lot of people. So
beautiful. Well, since you're here, and we've had this discussed on our call before, where you said Dubai is the right place for you to be right now.
It does.
What is it that you see where people are running out the other way and you decided to find place in Dubai? What do you see different?
That's a good question. A lot of opportunity. So the network, so I've spent a lot of time in tons of different countries, traveled to 20 different countries last year. And nowhere that I've been to at least has had the caliber of people in terms of where they are in business, where they are in life, the way they think, as Dubai has. So I was in Bali before this, and Bali's great. I love Bali, but it's just a different type of person that you get there. And I feel with Dubai, everyone here is on a mission, and everyone here is really trying their hardest to get there. And that's what I love about it. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm going to go to Miami in a little bit like that just to work with some clients. I go to Toronto soon for a hypnosis kind of training camp, as I already told you before. But yeah, Dubai really feels like the place that's right for me because of the network and everything else that's here.
This is one of the things that I've heard a lot actually from people that do end up coming to Dubai. Now, my family moved here 50 years ago, and I was born and raised here. But what I tend to notice, a lot of people that come to Dubai end up staying the same, just with a nicer view. But you have a different view on that. Could you please talk a bit more about this?
It's a good question. I guess I do also imagine Dubai as giving me those opportunities. And my partner is very similar as well. A lot of our content since we've been here has gone super viral.
Okay.
And that's not obviously Dubai, it's how we feel internally. But when we start to get an environment where you need to be making more money, you need to be someone that, can provide more value, you start to raise your frequency and you start to become that person that can operate at that level. Since we've gotten here, I got here a month ago now. I've done more inner work than I ever have in my entire life in just this month. And it literally had forced me to do that because now I think on a completely different level to the way I ever have before. So
do you think that it's part of your ascension for you to now move to a place like Dubai, connect with the people with the right frequency and have more opportunities attracted to you?
Exactly, yeah.
Good. Well, part of attraction, as we both know, there has to be something called the law of detachment from things. I saw a couple of your videos on that. Do you mind sharing to people what does that mean to you? So I was having this conversation with a friend and some guy that I was helping with his mindset and stuff like that. His name's William Brown, and he was making at the time about 400 to 600K a month in his business. He's a business coach, and he really wanted to be making $1 million a month, and no matter what he tried, nothing would work. And he was like, why is that? Because he'd had so many big quantum leaps in the past where I think when he first started, he went from
I won't say the exact numbers, but it was like some big leaps for him. And he was like, it felt so easy when I was doing that. I was just so in flow. I wasn't even thinking about the number. I wasn't even thinking about the goal. And he's like, why is that? Why is it that when we're so attached to something, we never get it? And the analogy that I like to use for this is it's like a magnet. When you have the opposing sides of a magnet, it often pushes it away. So if you want something so bad and you're operating as that opposite magnet, I suppose, it's going to go further away. Because as we start to like get so attached to it, we start to act as the person that pushes those things, right? We act from a place of lack. We act from a place of, we don't deserve this because we're not that person already.
Correct.
Whenever we think we want something, we're actually being the version of ourselves that doesn't have it yet. So that's what I realize. It's like everything that you want, if you just like, you envision it, you drop the thought, you don't keep thinking about it. Oh, am I going to get there? Is it going to happen? And then you just literally go about your life. It comes to you, and it has happened so many times for me.
And it's very visible in you. And when the way you talk about it, how your energy is, I think aspect of that is surrender. And part of RISE, the S in RISE stands for surrendering to the timing of the universe. This is such an important thing because when you look at people around, most are living with that crabs in the barrel mentality, where they're trying to one-up each other, they're trying to manipulate their way out of things and think that that's the way of life. But you mentioned something which is so profound, and I think more and more people can understand and live that life. When you just let go, you put that desire out into the universe, and it's already yours. It just has to come by you one day or the other, and you let it slide and you start living life, right, in alignment. You mentioned something about frequency. Now, most people watching don't understand what that is. What is frequency to you?
So frequency to me, to explain it in the simplest way, is when you have the thought and then you have this the feelings, and then you consider both of those things. That is your frequency in my eyes. So if you have the thought that business feels really hard and I'm not going to be able to get to $1 million a month, let's say, whatever your goal is. And then you also have the emotions of every time you start to work harder towards that goal or you work on that goal, it feels really hard and it feels really, draining. That is your frequency that you're on when you match both the thoughts and then the emotions. So if you want to get a certain goal, is what I've noticed is like you just need to raise that frequency, because when you start to think and then also feel like that version of you, it just automatically happens because you're now operating as that person. You are being that person that deserves it.
Good, really good. I mean, it also involves part of expanding your mind, neuroplasticity, as people in science follow through. It's having different pathways open up for you in your mind and how you look at things as well. Now, it sounds great on Instagram. What does that actually look like when it's not aesthetic?
It's a really good question. So I do this with clients through hypnosis, right? Where we put them in an unconscious environment, they go into a trance. So it makes you a lot more suggestible to these things because now you don't have something called your critical faculty. Now your critical faculty is the thing that kind of creates a lot of the limiting beliefs, all of these situations of I'm not where I want to be, and if I am going to get $1 million a month, it's going to be really difficult. That's what your critical faculty keeps building, right? So if we get rid of that, you can then get new suggestions. So the way that I like to do it is directly with a client, but then you can also do it on your own as well. I've done this for myself so many times, right? Where you just really try and focus on your state. Are your thoughts aligned with where you want to get to and you believe that they're going to happen? And then also the feeling, are you coming from a place of positivity? Are you coming from a place of, wow, I feel so abundant today? Are you forgetting about the feeling that, that client didn't sell the way that you wanted it to go, or that deal didn't happen the way that you wanted it to go, and you drop that and then you just focus on where you are right now and then also the future desired state? That's when you actually start to reprogram this, and that's when you raise your frequency and get exactly what you want, in my eyes.
Well, very well said. And I think you're entitled to your own opinion on things. And I think for the most part, this is exactly where people need to come back to the present moment, right? You have a manifestation, you put it out there into the universe, but then you come back into the present moment and you start working towards it in flow state. Because energetically, more and more people are starting to become more aware of how some things might drain us, some things might, be like a roadblock. You want to get out of it, you want to break through a certain barrier. What's the belief you have now that your old self would have argued with for hours?
It's okay to be different. Like I used to think that I was very different to everyone because I went on this business journey. Like straight out of high school, I went into sales. But that was because my friend talked me into it and I ended up loving it, ended up doing really well with it. But then the next thing was like business coaching, started doing that. But again, I just copied a mentor. Like I was being that, literally I was copying him like word for word, like a lot of what he did. So it was realizing, because I've done this, especially recently, and like it's transformed the way that I feel, but then also like the way that my business is scaled. And it's just like realizing that it's okay to be sometimes misunderstood, and it's okay to be yourself and not feel like you have to copy someone else. Because that was just such a big part of my programming, that I was only going to get success by either like copying the traits that someone has, or copying the way that they speak, or copying just other people, because I felt like a part of me, couldn't actually do it on my own, so.
Very well said. I think it's important for us to be inspired by people and then take on certain attributes that resonate with us, right? I could like something in you, you could like something in me, I could like something in him, however that works out. But I have a question based on that. Do you think most people are thinking or just recycling other people's thoughts? When I say thinking, are they thinking for themselves?
Yeah, it depends on the people, right? Like a lot of the clients I work with, not so much, because they are like pretty high caliber people and they like have to be very different to be making, 250K a month, 400, 500, whatever they make, like $1 million a month. Like you have to be a bit different and you have to have your own thoughts. But I would say the general public for sure, like they're just thinking, or they are just very unconscious and they're just copying other people's thoughts for sure. And even some entrepreneurs making that amount of money, I've seen it as well. Like they are just very unhappy and they are also very unconscious. So it doesn't, like the amount of money you make doesn't actually change how conscious you are at all.
Very well said. I mean, I've looked at a few people, influencers here and there. You pretty much live a lifestyle that's most people's vision board, right? At your level, what actually motivates you now? Because I want more money stops being a convincing answer at some point.
It does, until you get like someone say that they had a private jet. Okay. So that is something that I'm going to create for myself.
Okay.
So that really motivates me. And I've been in lots of these phases that you described then where, you've gotten the success, why make more money? But I also, I'm such a big advocate for this, and it's served me so much that like no matter how much you make, it's not about making more, it's about the person that you become as a result of making more. Right? Because there's so many things that we, need to level up, right? Different beliefs, all these things. And as we start to make more money, that is just kind of the metric of, okay, are you growing normally? Like if you do it in a conscious way.
Do you think motivation is a real thing, or is it just something people use until they build a new identity?
I am a big believer that when you're on a winning streak, everything feels a lot easier. So it's easier to do the work when you're on a winning streak. Whether motivation is a real thing, I don't know how to answer that properly. But I think definitely we feel more inspired at times, and that's important to follow that.
Good. And that's what I say, actually. I say, when I did Rise as an event, I was like, I need to get these many motivational speakers. Then it switched. I was like, I need people that inspire others. I don't need someone that's copying someone else's speech. I need someone that comes from what they are inspired by, and then they talk about that. That's very important.
Correct. I'm a big believer that when someone comes into my world, they completely transform their life. Because when I'm my own frequency, like when I just do exactly what I want to do and I act as the person that I truly am, and like I'm my full authentic self, if they come in, it's like with all the beliefs that I've been able to build, all of the things, it's like they will genuinely change their life. And I think anyone, like you see all these people, like I've worked with people that have sold millions online, and like the people that do the best are always the ones that have the identity of, when you come into my world, I'm going to transform you. So I think just holding that belief and then just being that person is like genuinely what kind of causes that inspiration for people.
It does require a level of self-delusion. right? For you to think that that's how it is, because when you look at the world around, most people they don't believe in themselves, and that's the self-doubt comes in, and then the projection, the jealousy, the envy, the things that bring down your frequency happen. But you've not always been like this, right? I'm assuming, we've spoken a bit about this, but you came from humble beginnings, right? What's a money belief you had that, looking back, you're a little embarrassed you believed?
I will have a belief in a moment, but I'll explain my humble beginnings. So single parent, we really never had much money at all. We would just get by with rent most of the time. Mm-hmm. Couldn't afford snacks even at times. Even though snacks is a trivial thing, but it's just as a kid you really want that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Dad was never in my life. I always felt like I wanted someone there for me. There was a masculine figure. But yeah, I think a belief that I created from that, a lot of my upbringing was very stressful, to be honest. Yeah, coming from a lot of stress really created within me that the only way that I can succeed is being on that kind of feeling like it always needs to be fight or flight. So I would work myself to the ground. Even in school, I would work myself to the ground. In business, once I started my own business, I would just work 10, 12-hour days and think that was the only way that I was getting true success. Mm-hmm. And then, that was a big belief, just because, we always struggled. And I figure, if we struggled,
then you'll succeed,
yeah. And then also I saw, because what my mum did for work was basically she would create events actually. Mm-hmm. At our house. And every time a new event would happen, that would actually before it would be so stressful. We'd have to clean the house and everyone would be freaking out. And then I associated that with the way that I get money, because that was when she would get paid, right? And as I'm speaking right now, I'm connecting this. I've never actually thought of that in that way. So that's really interesting. I can see
it in your face. You're reliving the experience.
Correct.
There's so many things that you've said, and I'm going to break it down onto that before you answer the questions. I don't think this is something to be embarrassed. I think this is part of the journey, and a lot of healing has to go into having an absent father or not having a father figure at this point, but then having a lot of respect for women in that way, because you see how they carried it on by themselves, single mother, dealing with that, having taken care of so much, but you grew into becoming the man that was missing in your life. Tell people a little bit about that journey of how you became this version.
I definitely wouldn't consider that I'd been this version of myself for very long. I would say it's been a good 8 months, 9 months.
Time is irrelevant with this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And a big journey for me was meditation. So I did a 10-day Vipassana meditation. Do you know what that is? Yeah, so silence, absolute silence. And it was interesting because at the time I had a lot of complications with my relationship with my partner. And we both went on this journey where we actually ended up both doing Vipassana at the same time. We'd actually broken up. We didn't know that we'd both were doing Vipassana. It just happened. It's completely separate journeys. And then, did that. And honestly, from there, everything just started to change, because I started to actually realize that I can control my thoughts and I don't have to be the unconscious version of me anymore, and really live out those, past patterns, even though I'd made a lot of money at this point as well. It's not like I wasn't successful. It was I'd already done well. It was just that I wasn't very happy. And I also felt like there was a ceiling too, that I couldn't break past income-wise as well.
Nice. That's very good. How important is silence, or sitting in silence, to becoming this version of you?
I think it's really important when you don't know how to do it that well yet, or you don't know how to meditate very well. You need the silence. But once you know how to meditate, I think even without having silence, and you can hold that frequency all the time, and you can meditate even when you're having a conversation.
Exactly.
I don't think silence is that important. But whilst you're learning it, you need that kind of harsh, hit to the body to really ingrain this into your identity.
When you say hitting a roadblock or hitting a ceiling, glass ceiling, for most people, that's a lot of things that a lot of people have this belief with regards to money, right? At what point do you admit that it's not strategy, it's them? That's the problem. They can have all the best strategies in the world, best templates that you could give them, but part and parcel of what you do is you help them shift that identity. How do you convey that to them?
Well, big one is just like, you got to realize that when you get to say, 100K a month, but then you have a goal of, let's say, 500K a month or whatever it is, and you've been stuck in 100K or 80K or whatever it is for a long time, and nothing you try works, you try every single business strategy, it doesn't change anything for you, that's when you start to realize that, okay, like it's something internal. Like 95% of the actions we do is all run by our subconscious mind. So if you just even believe that statistic, you got to start to draw the conclusions that if your unconscious mind has like some limiting beliefs, or your unconscious, you come from a background where maybe you come from humble beginnings, or maybe you even come from beginnings where you had lots of money, but maybe someone said that they didn't fully believe in you. It's like that is an unconscious pattern that's going to go throughout your whole life until you start to realize that, you need to work on these things.
Very beautifully said. Very beautifully said. There's no hypnosis going on right now, right?
Nah.
I don't see a pendulum. But listen, when people hear hypnosis, they think control, swinging pendulums, giving them instructions on what to do. Tell the audience a little more about what is hypnosis to you and how did it change your life personally?
Sure. So I actually ended up getting hypnotized. I didn't realize I was getting hypnotized, but it was through like very, very intense meditation. And I basically cultivated my entire life. Like the life that I wanted to live, I like imagined it, and I just got so, whilst being in the future and also being in the present, that sounds a bit weird, but like what you described before of like creating that future vision and then also being in the present, so that allows it to happen and you don't overthink whilst you're in the present, right? It can't happen.
Correct.
That changed my life completely. And then after that, I tried a bunch of different things. Nothing really worked as well as meditation did, and like kind of hypnotizing myself. And then I realized that there's a lot of people in this world that want to have the same benefits as me, but they're just not willing to do the work. And that's okay, because everyone has their own life journey, right?
Of course.
And like a lot of the clients that I work with, they want a fast result. And that's what hypnosis does. Like for instance, this client that I hypnotized, it was like maybe 6 days ago now. He got like a 90K USD deal 3 days or 4 days after the hypnosis. And he didn't even expect it to happen. He was like, I did not expect that I was going to go into this sales opportunity and that they were going to close for that much. And that's what happens. It's like what we did is we put unconscious things into his brain so that it creates that frequency for him. It creates that new state so that he feels so confident when he goes in there, but more importantly, he's like now operating as that person that attracts those things. So that's just an example of, what hypnosis can do and how it kind of works.
What's the most common subconscious pattern you noticed in people that should be making a certain amount of money but aren't?
Probably just lack of belief that you can reach that number. So everyone has a hard number in their head. And if we can normalize that as a part of our identity, that's when you'll get it. So the biggest one is just like the limiting belief that whatever their next goal is difficult. Obviously, since I work with like these high caliber clients, it's not the limiting belief of like, I want to reach my first 10K. It's more, how can I, reach $1 million, or how can I reach 500K, whatever their goal is. And once you start to normalize that number, because that's what happens when you start to do this work, this internal work, you start to realize that, okay, whatever I literally set my mind to, I can have. And then once you do that, say you like get close to reaching that number, you can normalize it. So you can be like, okay, I want to be making 500K a month, for example. That 500K a month, you can literally train yourself to feel that number isn't a big number. Because whenever we put something on a pedestal, I made a video about this the other day and it went super viral. Whenever we put anything on a pedestal, it's so much more difficult for us to get it because we think that it's above us. Like we're not being the person that is actually that version, right? That's going to bring that into our life. So I think just the biggest one is like putting things on a pedestal, thinking that things are above us when we should realize that we can get on that same frequency and get it as soon as we start to behave like that person.
Very well said. I think it's important to maintain that frequency for the most part because life doesn't always go the way we want it to, right? There are ups and there are downs. There are winning days, there are losing days. How do you still maintain that level of balance within yourself? Because, of course, we can try everything in our capacity, but sometimes it's just not for us, right? How do you help people break out of that with hypnosis?
Well, I always say we don't get what we want, we get what we're being. So if we start to hold that frequency, like, and you train your mind in a way, and hypnosis does this, where like whenever you have a certain trigger, we set something called an identity marker in you. And then that identity marker, whenever you go outside of that, and like, let's say you're acting lower than what you should be acting in terms of the identity you want to hold, you then catch that thought. You realize, okay, no, this is my old programming. I'm now this person. This is what the new version of me needs to hold and believe. So that's what it does. The biggest thing is like hypnosis isn't going to like instantly transform you unless you're also being conscious and unless you're also trying your best to abide to those identity markers, because the hypnosis does put this in you, but you also need to listen. And hypnosis is a way to just like make it a lot easier, because whenever you're in that same situation, you're gonna catch it straight away, and then you'll stop. So
wow, you help people upgrade identity, but do you sometimes catch yourself slipping back into the old self?
Yeah, 100%, for sure.
It's not all perfect and bright-eyed, bushy tail all the time, right?
No, definitely not. Because like we all have programming, right? And that program, it takes so much repetition to change. The exact way that you got that was through lots of time, either your parents saying things, your environment, your friends, and we just reinforced it over a long period of time. So that those things can still keep coming up. But I am also a believer that like, you get to a point where you do so much of this work and you're so in the present moment that you can literally elevate it above everything eventually, but it takes a very long time. And yeah, but for sure, I've had lots of moments, even recently, where like I start catching myself of thinking, oh no, like, you know, maybe that is too outside of my reality. And then, but as soon as that happens, I catch it. And then I create the right thought and I create the right state. And once I do that, it gets lower and lower and lower, that thought in my head. You know, it's not as prevalent because I'm now training myself not to have that.
I think a lot of what you said has a lot to do with self-reflection. And that's very important in today's day and age, especially. Being calm, maintaining that state of peace within yourself, and then talking to yourself and listening to the thought patterns and focusing and saying, okay, hold on, this is the old version. Now this is not me anymore. But then there's also times in our life where our external reality is upgrading faster than our internal reality can handle. Has that ever happened to you, and how did you catch up?
Well, so when I was 19, I ended up making like 170K in the year. That was my on target earnings. So I didn't earn that, but like I was doing pretty well. Like I'd earn like 16K in a month, and I was like 18 or 19 at the time. Okay. So that was a lot of money for someone my age. And I would just spend it all straight away, basically. So that's an example of like, that's an example. Like my external reality was obviously I was making a lot of money, but internally I just didn't have the capability or the programming to be able to hold that. So yeah, and then, I mean, I didn't fix that for a very long time until I started to, you know, really do a lot of this work. It took me a long time to do that.
So as you can see, he's not naturally evolved. There's a lot of work that goes into becoming this version of yourself. Because, you know, a lot of people, when they look at this kind of a mindset, you know, they're like, this is too good to be true. And we try to break that barrier within people, you know, about how much work goes into becoming this version of yourself that can not only get what they want, but also hold on to it, right? It's like a lot of people want $1 million, but isn't it more about becoming the version that can hold on to that $1 million, right? That's what it's about.
Definitely.
Because I've looked online and everyone's chasing online freedom right now. Why do so many people feel stuck, even so?
After they try and chase that, or you mean?
They look at online freedom as a thing, right? And they subscribe to many courses, this and that, but they still feel stuck in their life. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, it goes to your earlier point. Like the more strategy you have, it's not necessarily going to help you, you know, elevate as a person. It's like strategy is helpful. And like I've got a lot of strategy, right? There's a lot of business coaches that I've invested in, and I'll probably invest in the future as well. But there's only like few particular things that I need from this coach that they know that I just can't be bothered learning. So I will take that stuff. But then when it comes to actually like getting a good result with it, you need to be the person. So you need to raise the state, you need to raise the thoughts, you need to raise above those emotions of, you know, oh, I feel lack I don't feel like this is actually going to work. You know, you need to raise above that. And until you're able to do that consistently, you're not going to get the results. So everyone that's tried it and has been stuck, it's like, sure, maybe you're missing a bit of strategy, but most likely you're not. It's like you get some guys that just watch a few YouTube videos and make millions online. So it really just comes down to like, are you being the person? Are you putting in the work? Are you acting as that person? And are you holding that frequency? So
very well. Well, speaking of avenues of making money and financial freedom, you also teach UGC to people. What are people completely getting wrong about it?
It's a good question. So UGC's like, obviously I've done it a little bit. Main reason I did it was because I wanted, like, we have a second business, my partner and I. And I really wanted to kind of be a case study that like it is possible and that it is like as easy as I thought it was and that as easy it was for Kelly, my partner. Yeah. So yeah, I did that. But for me, it's like, I don't consider myself a UGC expert whatsoever. Like for me, it's just like a good vehicle, and obviously it's a business that I have, and it's a good vehicle, I think, for anyone trying to start out. But for like Kelly's more the expert when it comes to content.
We'll grill her on that when she decides to come over. But part and parcel of becoming, financially free, there's a lot of sacrifices which people really don't talk about much. There is a part that costs us a lot. Let's talk a bit about that. Tell us a bit more about what did you have to let go of to become this version of you?
The big one was that belief that I shared earlier that like I can only make money by being stressed and working hard. For instance, this last month, I've grown more than I ever have, like financially, like with my content as well, than I ever have in like the last probably year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And I just realized that like when you start to let go and you just operate as that person that gets the results, you don't overthink and you don't second guess everything. That's when you start to get it. So a big one for me was just like feeling like I had to work really hard. Like I don't work very hard right now, like honestly. And it's you see it all the time. It's like, sure, some people that are really successful have had to work really hard, and it does require work for sure. But that work could be like, if you just put the same level of work into your own internal like feelings and your mindset, that's going to give you so much more results than you putting that work into something externally. Because the way, like my beliefs are that if I literally work for just like 1 or 2 hours a day on like my marketing, my business side, right? I could make as much money as I will ever need if I do the right stuff internally and if I level up internally. So yeah, I'm a big believer now, and I haven't always been like this, that if we just fix how we feel internally, everything happens externally. So that was a big belief. I guess
Michael Jackson was right when he said man in the mirror, right? If you want to change what's inside, and that's when things reflect in your outer reality. It's brilliant to hear this. And this is why I have these kind of podcasts, because when we meet people that are self-aware, you kind of become a reflection for the other person and they become that for you, right? Because you worked on yourself rather than projections that people generally deal with. Would you say that it's important to let go of what no longer serves? And is that easy?
Yeah, 100%. It's so important. It's everything.
Is that easy though?
It's not easy, no.
Yes. This is something that people struggle with most, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people also get caught up with... I shared about this earlier to you, and I made a video about it as well. Like we see someone succeeding, and then automatically a lot of us have this programming of thinking, oh, they must be doing something wrong. Maybe they're ripping them off. Maybe they're, not a good person. And whenever we hold that belief, it's just reinforcing that we also can't have that. Because, most of us watching, like we're all ethical people. Like we all want to be good people. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be a good person. Yeah. So if we then hold that belief that, okay, someone that's successful, and you keep reinforcing the fact that, oh, they're only successful because they rip people off. It's like, of course you're going to have that reality for yourself. Right? So yeah, it's an interesting one. You got to just keep like reinforcing this over and over again, but no, it's not easy.
Good. Very well said. I haven't done this part before. We're going to do some rapid fire, right? Because I want people to understand a bit more about what goes to becoming this version of you. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Money is...
Frequency.
Very well said. Detachment is.
Important.
Most people stay stuck because.
They don't let go.
The truth about abundance is.
You need to be before you have.
We do have. Very well said. Very well said. People overcomplicate.
Their goals.
Success without identity is.
Non-existent.
Wow. I must say, this is very, very well, very well. So you guys can see that it's not just a mask. It's literally exactly what he embodies and how important that is. Let's get to asking you a bit more about some fun stuff. You like Porsches, don't you?
I do.
What do you like about Porsches?
They're just so beautiful. Like, they're such a beautiful car. I've been in Ferraris, but I don't know. I need both the comfortable and then also the fast. And I feel like Porsche combines both of those.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And as we discussed, you're looking to manifest one very soon?
Yes.
Which one is it again?
The 911, probably like the GTS or maybe like a Turbo S.
Very good. Very good. Well, I've had some experience in that, so we can have a chat about that in the future.
You've had like 8 Porsches, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it was more of a thing for me to replace a void within me to, get car after car. But as I became more aware, of course, now it's more to do with, okay, if I want it, I can get it. It's frequency, right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we manifest what we want. I started this new segment in my podcast. I hadn't done this before. If there's something you want to ask me as a person interviewing you, what would that be?
What's the most important life lesson you've ever learned?
Trust yourself. It's okay to be misunderstood. Some of us are born to be misunderstood, but that's because we're here to uplift level of consciousness. So yeah, definitely that. I think there's many things, but it all sort of coincides with a lot of things that you shared. I think letting go of what no longer serves is the most important part, because we all have these lessons that we learn through to become this version of ourselves. And I, in my family's generational curses or patterns, have had to break quite a few to become this version. I was actually a shy guy back in the day. But when I spoke, it would silence the room. So it made me feel uncomfortable and unsure of myself, or like, oh, I should bite my tongue and not say it. And then someone else would say it and get praise for it. And I'd be like, I should have said it. You know what I mean? So I think it all boils down to understanding why you're here. I also say many a times that you don't have a purpose. You are your purpose, because it's through you is how you deliver what you have to deliver. So yeah, that's self-love, which is the most important life lesson that I've had to learn.
I think that's so spot on. Trusting yourself is, it's everything. Like, I watched a Michael Jackson movie yesterday, and it was really, really good because, like, one thing that he said was that he's channeling God. Like, all of his songs came from
higher power.
Yeah, higher power. And whether you believe that or not, it's like, it's always going to serve you to believe that you are going to have the exact thing that you need in that very moment, and you're going to have it, like, especially if you just raise your frequency. So I think trusting yourself is so, so important because, it's all that we have. Trusting yourself or trusting a higher power, both, I think, can work really well.
Well, we can definitely resonate. I believe that Michael Jackson was definitely a divine messenger. Religion tends to believe that that's not the case, but I don't believe in religion. I believe in the fact that we are human before being religious or put ourselves into any label. Since you've shared so much wisdom and nuggets for people, what's the one advice you could give to someone that's probably your age or even older, one limiting belief that they could break out of that will instantly change their life? And if so, you can look in the camera and tell people that.
Okay. So your thoughts and emotions control everything. So if you have the wrong thought, you have the wrong emotion for where you want to get to, you're not going to ever get there. But if you just hold the frequency that you are already that person, then automatically that comes to you. It can literally happen overnight. That's why you see when someone gets hypnotized, the thing happens the next day. It's not because the hypnosis did it. It's just that it raised their frequency and it changed their state. It changed their thoughts, their emotions into being that person. So the most important thing ever is change your thoughts, change your emotions, and you'll have exactly what your wildest dreams are.
Very well said, and I think you are definitely in the right place. I think where the world is at right now, especially with what has happened with Dubai and the kind of effect that geopolitics have had within the country, more and more people like yourself are required for people to embrace that embodiment of frequency, understand a bit more about what it is to live in the state of abundance. So a perfect example of what Rise really is. Thank you so much for being at this podcast. It was lovely to interview you. And I'm sure there's a lot more for us to discuss post.
Definitely.
Right? Thank you.